January 14th, 2025. And I'll just call the meeting to order. And now I do roll. So if everybody would
Just do introductions.
Go around and tell everybody who you are. I'm Bob Garza, Ward 3.
Rachel Collins, Ward 5.
Karen Dixon, Ward 4.
Mayor Jamie Clary.
Jason Gallo, Administrative Services Director.
John Ward, Ward 2. Scott Ryan, Hendersonville Police Department.
All right, thank you. So now we have to do the acceptance of the agenda. On this agenda, there are no ordinances or resolutions, but there will be discussion. So
I'll make a motion to accept the agenda.
Second.
all right. And then that passes.
We need a vote on.
Pardon me?
We do need to take a vote.
So yes, I accept the agenda. So that would be 3-0. Right?
All those in favor?
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
That's what
There we are.
Thank you for the lead in. Okay, then, okay. And then we have to approve the minutes. There's 2 minutes on here. There's one from November 12th and one from November 26th. I was here for both of those as being a previous member of General Committee. And the 2 other people on the committee were here, but not voting members at that time.
I was not here on the 12th. I was here on the 26th. However, I will vote to approve the minutes because to the best of my knowledge, they are accurate.
I was at both meetings, but the 12th, I was just a guest. Thank you. But I do believe the minutes were correct.
Okay. So we need to take a vote on that.
So we have a motion.
A motion.
I so moved
And a
to
second.
approve the
From
minutes.
Karen.
And then
All
Do a
those in
vote.
favor.
All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
That passes 3-0. There are no citizens' comments.
correct.
As I said earlier, there's no ordinances or resolutions at this general committee tonight, but there are other agenda items. And there's 5 solids and enough room for others. So this is time for discussion. And the reason for this discussion is because we want to do some things to the city. And we're going to need some general information, and we're going to need eventually to do budget and eventually do some ordinances to help that out. So the first one on the agenda is Main Street landscaping and possible changes to restrictions on funds in the tree bank.
Mhm.
And then I'm going to let Jamie lead us on that one.
So quite possibly y'all didn't know that we had a tree bank. You'll hear it mentioned occasionally from planning folks. The way that came about was an ordinance passed in 1994, I believe it was, 1996, which you guys your second page there. And the purpose of that was we have somebody that wants to build on a piece of property, and it's typically commercial. In fact, it might only be used in commercial situations. And we've got them, they have to set back so much, they have to have so much parking, they have to have so many islands there that aren't always conducive to trees. So very often they end up removing trees, as we've seen right next door to us. And very often they end up removing trees, and we require that they replace those trees. Quite frequently, they don't have the space to replace those trees. And what we don't want to do is we don't want to make their business unviable because we cut back. And we also want to make sure they have enough parking space and they have enough room for what they're trying to do there. So they can go to the planning commission, ask the planning commission to allow them to contribute to the tree bank. So trees are still planted, just not on their property. And occasionally we adjust what the cost is to replace those trees. We've probably done that twice since I've been here, just to make sure that it is up to date. We don't want it to be convenient for folks to pay into the tree bank as opposed to planting their own trees. We want it to be equivalent. So what it costs to replace that tree, we want there. The point of that tree is what trees do. It shouldn't be replaced with a shrub. It shouldn't be replaced with grass. It should be a tree for tree. And it's caliper inch per caliper inch. So if they cut down a big one that is 10 caliper inches, say 10 caliper inches, they could replace that with 2 that are 5 caliper inches or 5 that are 2 caliper inches. So it's caliper inch per caliper inch. And then they're charged based on the number of caliper inches of trees that they remove. From there, once that money is in the tree bank, we have, when it comes budget time, occasionally, I think maybe 3 or 4 times, is I've suggested uses of that money in the budget. The money doesn't come from the general fund, it comes from the tree bank. You see what our balance is right now.
Strong.
Yeah, we're sort of running out of places to spend that money because, as you see what I've underlined, has to be spent on public property or public right of way. It's very often hard to find those places. And so what we've started looking at are there opportunities to spend that on private property? It's obviously not my first choice, but if we have an opportunity where somebody is doing some work on a private piece of property and maybe we're requiring something of it, it could almost be an incentive because it could cut down their expenses as they develop a piece of property for commercial use. We might have an opportunity for on some medians to some subdivisions, or we could have an opportunity really between subdivisions or between businesses to plant some trees. It just gives us the opportunity to do that. Now, the board, even if the board approves to plant those trees on private property, we would still require that the owner of that private property sign an agreement that says they're going to maintain those trees. We're not going to force the trees on anybody. And even if we agree to change this, every time I come forward with a budget, you all would have the opportunity to say, that's too much, that's too little, that's not where I want them to go. Right now, I don't even propose it for private property because we have a resolution that says it should be used on private property. I just want y'all's thoughts if this is something to pursue.
Well, in addition, as we continue to talk about medians, and I think that's in here somewhere too, especially on the main parts of Main Street, would those trees come out of this fund? And when you're building medians with trees?
Probably the problem we have with some medians is they just don't have the depth of soil that we need.
Right. That's a possibility at all those,
Yeah.
right?
And the most recent big chunk of money that we used from the tree bank was in the the entrances and exits on Vietnam Veterans Boulevard. I think 3 different places we spent some money there. But we would look at doing something like that. I don't think we can use it on soil, but we can use it on trees.
Okay.
Yeah.
I get
You
that.
can't have one without the other.
Very
Can
true.
we change that?
We can talk so Timothy Whitten looked at this a little bit, and if that's something y'all want to change, I'll ask him about that to see if that's a possibility we can do.
Historically, when we build a median, so all that's doesn't even come out of here, it just comes out of the budget for the median.
And we don't, the big median on West Main Street came with a federal grant, gosh, probably 15, 16 years ago.
Which big median?
Going down West Main from Davidson County line all the way up to,
Oh, that one. Okay. Oh, that one. Yes,
Mhm.
yes. That's a big median.
Yeah.
All right.
To me, if we could control some of our access points, like we were talking about last night with center medians,
that sort of got me thinking about this.
all up and down Main Street, and have it be lovely with trees, even if it's a median and there's no business owners association like there is on Indian Lake, then we pay for the maintenance of that. I'm assuming this, you said we established this in 96, right? So that means we can change it. It's not regulated at any other level.
The only thing that's sort of a hang up on that is we have to let builders and developers know, so we're not changing the rules on them midstream. So once we change it, we probably have to put somewhere in the effective date, like 4 or 6 months in advance. But
Okay.
we can do that just ourselves.
I would like to see it changed in such a way that it can fund medians.
Okay.
Maybe not the construction of the concrete, but certainly this. I mean, I'm open to that too, but
Okay.
certainly the soil.
Right.
I mean,
Yeah, at least.
and the maintenance. That's like you have to water them, right?
In the beginning, it's
it?
imperative, but
Yeah.
once they develop their root system, they're pretty solid then.
The tree is in a good place, and
Okay.
I mean, I would love to make it would be safer and more attractive.
Some of the other situations we have is the dermatologist over here on Saundersville Road, Saundersville and Winston Hills. They spent a lot of money on landscaping. Same thing with some folks on West Main Street.
Enterprise did.
Enterprise did.
Yeah.
The body shop there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Brian's Motorsports.
Right.
We had some complaints about that. That if we really want to be friendly to businesses, we wouldn't expect so much. Well, we want to change the look. And we want it to look better.
Right.
It would be a little bit easier for them to swallow, and I think it would be a little bit more encouraging if we could say, listen, this is what we're going to expect of you. and we'll help you out.
Mhm.
Is
Right.
that something you want to do?
Yes.
Well, I think so, and I keep reverting back to West Main, because one, it's in Ward 3, but, I mean, I've lived here since 87. and
Okay.
The only changes made is one business closed and one to open. It looks the same as it did back then.
Yeah.
And when we get into areas where the low-end car lots are,
Mhm.
North Lake Bargain and all that, I mean, you know, when they decide, or if they decide they're gonna do anything more, a tree on each corner of that property wouldn't hurt his sales,
Uh,
but it would sure add some cosmetics to the city.
Right.
As would the old skating rink, where there's a restaurant there now and there's nothing. I mean, there's literally nothing. I'm trying to get her to do a monument sign, get rid of that old sign that doesn't exist anymore. But so that side of the street's actually worse off, not the Brian's Motorsport, but the other side of the street.
Yeah.
And
Jamie, when you were saying, like the example of Brian's Motorsport, that they
Mm-hmm.
spent a bunch of money, and if we could help them out, how are you, like, what's the example? How would that play out? They have to pay into the tree.
No, we would sell, this is what is expected for your landscaping plan. And where it includes trees, we'll provide the trees.
well, it's an
Actually,
incentive.
Enterprise is a better example than Brown's Motorsports, because I think all they did was shrubs
Mhm.
right there.
They just did shrubs,
Yeah. Yeah.
But Enterprise comes in as a corporate, so it's a little bit easier for them to swallow the cost.
I don't like the idea of putting them in neighborhoods. I think that
Okay.
would cause, I mean, some neighborhoods don't have HOAs, some do.
And even then,
It would just cause a,
I would expect,
fighting.
just an opinion, that it's like anything, if we were to do something for a business, which would make the city look
Mhm.
better, that business would be responsible in the beginning of the first 18 to 24 months of watering and anything that comes
Yeah,
out.
could
Because
we
after 2 years, they're pretty good.
Could we do like 50-50?
That's probably what I would
Yeah,
suggest.
that's what
I
I'm
think it's
thinking.
Yeah, we don't have to give it all away, but
Right.
good. Yeah,
I'd rather spend it on medians.
So supposedly this dermatologist spent $110,000 on landscaping.
well,
That's a chunk.
they
Would
can
we,
get up there.
would we focus on West Main Street?
That's,
Yeah.
yeah, I would. Unless y'all feel like there's something else.
I think with the entrance now and what's going on in the Rivergate area in general, they're all shopping in Hendersonville now because
Yeah.
they feel safe, and they're not necessarily coming off the bypass. They're coming straight down Main Street.
Right.
And at this point, we have better stores.
We do. We're about to
Um,
get Best Buy this year.
Mhm.
So
So like the dermatologist though, that's on my side of town. So how are you going to decide which businesses you would?
I would tend to lean more to the ones that are reinvesting.
that's a good.
Perfect.
That's
Mhm.
that's my
That's the
preference.
standard
Right.
over a new development. Like the dermatologist was new.
Mhm.
They've been there a little bit now, but
I mean, they took what was green space and put a building on it. We've
Yeah.
taken something that used to be gray space and put in reinvesting. That's what I sort of want
yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
to focus.
yeah. Because they have to. Yeah, I think I agree. They have to show the ownership. You know.
Okay.
Well, I'm just going to jump to number 2 because
Sure.
we're talking about it in number 1.
Okay.
And beautify and entrance to the city.
Mhm.
And I believe that they're talking about doing a new welcome to, let me say they, it's us, talking about doing a welcome to Hendersonville sign where we actually begin Hendersonville.
So there's a couple different possibilities there. I've talked to beautiful Hendersonville about on both sides of town we have bridges. I've seen many cities that do some unique things on their bridges, sort of protruding art or a mural. We have a huge wall on the bridge by Shoot Lane.
Yep.
And it really has an opportunity there. But we also have on West Main, we have a bridge that goes all the way across Main Street.
Yep.
And when you have this much space, this much depth, it's harder. When you have a big wall, it's a little bit easier. But I'd still like to do something there. Right now, we just have a welcome to Hendersonville sign. And Kathy Pascal, I said Kathy Martin, Kathy Pascal and the beautiful Hendersonville committee have been looking at this a little bit, but they sort of want a little bit more guidance from us as far as what are we looking for. This is not something that beautiful Hendersonville has funds for right now.
Right.
But I'm thinking anything from some art on the bridge to a mural on the bridge, either bridge, to just better welcome signs, and maybe some better landscaping at the entrances.
I like that idea because most people don't know where Hendersonville actually begins.
Right.
You know, I mean, it's, you know, it kind of says it, but that's a good place for one. I would like to even throw this out there. If that does come to pass, and I don't know if this is feasible or not, I would like to take the current existing Welcome to Hendersonville sign and make it digital for the things that happen in the city, like Christmas parades.
Like the one at the park.
Yes, like the one at the park, if it's feasible, without costing too much money.
I would want it to be tasteful
Oh, yeah.
if we did that.
The big one on
You
the
don't
high school looks
Like the
pretty
one
cool.
at the park that much.
I just want to make sure if it's at the entrance of our city that
It's not at
It's
the
not
entrance anymore,
hokey.
though. See,
it's saying that.
whatever. Yeah, that's a taste. I agree with that.
Yeah.
But it's not at the entrance to the city. It's sitting over in front of the boat shop.
Well, I get that, but I'm saying if we're going to do something
Mhm.
coming in from Rivergate or coming in from Gallatin,
Right.
you know, I like more natural things like
Yeah.
water, you know, a water feature or,
Mhm.
you know, that kind
You
of
can read
thing.
my mind.
No.
I've always wanted something
Yeah.
like that.
I
Oh,
would
the water
love to
feature
have a
would be
water
great.
feature. They break all the time, but
Yeah.
You
And I
know.
don't want to use too much water to do it. Something that is
Yeah.
recycling the
Mhm.
water over and over again.
And for the walls that you're talking about, I like the idea of more of a sculpture or masonry type of design than a mural. But of course, a mural is so much cheaper that we could have that really quickly compared to something that would be more substantial. So maybe we could do a mural as phase one.
So I saw this weekend. The maintenance on that is probably pretty low. Can you see that well? Or should I zoom in? So this is Bowling Green. Let me move in a little bit more. That's possible.
You're not touring colleges yet, are you?
No, I'm not. I refuse to acknowledge that. Maybe that's a little bit better. So it's a big welcome to Bowling Green sign on
yeah.
the side of the interstate.
Yeah.
If you all can see that.
Oh, I know the sign.
Okay,
Mhm, I
okay.
know it.
And it's not real high maintenance. There's not much paint there. It's some rock. Do you know what I'm talking about? The way to Bowling Green. It's not a big sign. It's more masonry and some
Mhm.
landscaping. And it's got some flagpoles there. It's a really good looking sign.
Yeah.
So what I gave you are some of the requirements if we're going to use TDOT right away, which I assume we probably would, especially if we're talking about
Yeah.
possibly painting a bridge.
Yeah.
That their process to do that. I completely agree with what Rachel said. Is painting is easy, but 10 years from now the mural doesn't look as good.
Oh, it's correct.
Oh yeah, you have to redo it a lot. You can't just. It wouldn't last 10 years.
Not outside,
But-
no.
Like I have no idea how much like masonry type things
And
would.
unfortunately, it also
I just want
opens up.
something that ties to the fact that we're the city by the lake.
Oh, I thought you were
saying
how many years.
Right.
So Don gave me a great example yesterday.
My soapbox about signs. Well, I tell people, take your car, park it outside for 5 to 7 years. Don't wash it, don't wax it. Tell me what it looks like.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
what your sign looks like.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Murals also open up the possibility for the graffiti people to come in.
Yeah, they
Right.
might attract
Exactly.
graffiti.
You know,
Absolutely.
the city's done a great job taking care of the underpass over at Costco because it's constantly getting written on, and not in a nice way.
We probably need to invest in some graffiti resistant paint for that you can just power wash off. The paint
That would make
stays and
sense.
the graffiti leaves.
So this could be expensive. I'm not asking for money right now, but
Right.
I'll go back to beautiful Henderson. I'll say, here's y'all prefer something with digital sign with a water feature, not a mural. Anything else I should do to give them direction?
No, so what would it take? Because right now, the entrance is right before the bridge, right?
Both of them.
Which-
Yeah, both of them.
Oh,
actually.
yeah.
Well, but this bridge is over water.
Oh, you're right.
Yeah, so we'd have to build something up to mount.
Or we just go with, possibly so, or we back it up to where the current sign is, which is 1/8 of a mile inside Hendersonville.
Yeah, I'd like to see it before you hit the new Ram dealership, but just because that's, that other side's gonna get developed too eventually.
Just on that end of town.
That's where the bridges over the water is.
Yeah.
Changes the
Shoot
dynamic.
Lane, are you thinking to put a sign there or just do something with the big wall?
I like that big wall. It just looks sort of ugly to me, but I have sort of decided that paint doesn't make as much sense, even though I would like it, and there's so much you could do with it. But especially on that wall, I mean, it's a rugged rock wall.
I think using masonry to make a design,
I do too.
variation in brick colors and do.
Carving.
With the new laser
Yeah.
jet cutters, you can cut out
Yeah.
some amazing steel,
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
Okay.
whether you want to do boats and birds and, make,
Right.
the lake scene
Yeah,
kind of.
you could even put like a metal thing in front of it that had a design.
So I have some examples in here, and this is sort of what got me thinking, well, we could have something nice that wasn't a mural, because some of these are just, it just says you're in a different place.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not saying that I like any one of them for us, but it just makes a point that you can do more than just paint something. And I've got some other
In
examples.
Tucson, they have a bridge that has a design on it to make it look like a giant snake
Oh, really?
because it's in the desert.
We don't want that.
No, I don't.
But there,
Big fish.
Giant fish.
But it's, I can't think of downtown Tucson without thinking of that bridge, and it fits their community and,
A goose, a duck. That's what made me think of
I
something.
do like the idea
It's
of
cool.
perhaps, obviously it could be mounted to the wall, if you're able to do some amazing cutouts. And even there, it could say, welcome to Hendersonville.
The Tennessee stone would be good too,
There's some cool things there.
Yeah.
And, there's quite a few artistic people in and around this city too that could, we could even have a contest.
Yeah. See, I thought that was something just real simple.
Mm-hmm.
which one?
The star. Tennessee star.
I like
Yeah.
that too. Like the 3-star.
Yeah, but we got,
That's
we're
more-
we're the city by the lake, and we're also considered home of country music out
Yeah.
here.
True.
So which one do you go for?
Well, guitars and music notes and would be great cutouts and mounted. Welcome to, Hendersonville, home of.
With the Canadian
Pick somebody.
geese on top of one of the music notes. No, I mean, but like, how do you?
I think you do.
Music or like?
I think we let a lot of artists figure this.
Yeah.
You could incorporate it together
Yeah.
in some way.
Only because that wall's so large.
Mhm.
It's
Yeah.
really, really
It
a large
is.
wall.
It
Something
is.
that's small in there would not do it justice.
Okay, that's helpful.
Any more?
Not on that.
Okay, so go to number 3.
Here's some beautiful pictures of medians.
Okay. Spending of the general fund to improve the
Yeah.
aesthetics of medians.
I think it's 4 or 5 more guys.
So we aren't currently doing this.
We're not really doing anything for medians. And part of the reason is that the medians that are the ugliest and have the greatest need are owned by TDOT.
Got it.
Yeah,
So, but we
but
could
we
do it on
still
West Main.
can, right?
So if we add medians on West Main, we'd have to get TDOT's permission for one. And if it's not just going to be your general concrete median, we have to get additional permission to do something with landscaping. That's not much harder though.
Okay.
The hard part is on New Shack Island Road, which is where most of these pictures are. And you have like a half a mile of concrete pad.
And now
Cement pad. excuse me.
here's another example though. Again, we're a music city. We could be an art city too. If the Arts Council started a new thing, I'm not too sure there shouldn't be some type of sculptures here.
Okay.
Because we know we can't get water on there to do
We
it.
just
That's
don't want to put them where somebody can easily run over them and lose. We could
And
lose
that's
our
what
money.
TDOT's going to say.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right.
And if
There's
we only
so
did
many
stuff,
accidents.
But if we just painted that green, it would look better.
well, that's true.
Yeah.
I mean, that's not as far as I want to go farther than that, but anything looks better than this.
It is pretty bad. I
I'd like
agree.
for
I
us
drive
to
it
look
daily.
into getting TDOT's permission
Okay.
to landscape them. How long is that going to take? And how,
We just really haven't pursued it.
But it's going to be in these situations here where they're located, getting any type of water up there is really a problem.
It's been a problem with some of the trees that are real close there. It's getting water there. We for the most part we just take a tank out there and water 'em.
Yeah, no, it could be done.
Yeah.
That seems to be the big objection, because one of the things we were looking at, if you go to Nissan Stadium, they have those big concrete planters. And even if somebody ran into them, it would hurt their car, not hit the planter, no doubt about that. But they would have to be watered in the beginnings, to get the plant started. But you could do them in colors. They don't have to be concrete. I mean they'll obviously be concrete, but don't have to be gray. You could do them in colors, and it would add a whole bunch of aesthetics. But if the argument's always going to be, and I happen to know where TDOT's going to go to, if the argument's always going to be that someone can jump the curb. If they jump the curb now, it may save their life because they're going to run into the flower pot and not hit the car across the street.
Well, and also, I'm just playing devil's advocate here.
We need to.
That we don't want to obstruct view.
Right.
Well,
Um,
the medians would be where we don't want people turning.
Right.
So they don't need to see across the street, right?
Look on some of those corner shots, and because you do need to see where you're turning,
Yeah.
where you're turning
Okay.
right, and somebody's turning left, you do need to be able to see there.
Yeah.
But
Mhm.
these are pretty long. I mean,
Some of them are, well, one of them is probably 400 yards long.
right. And that is, by the way, we talk about entrances to the city. That's a big one, because you got to come to Costco.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. It is.
Especially if you're coming from White House and all those surrounding towns, which are out there. And we know a lot of work's going to be done on New Shackle Island eventually.
The easiest thing to get TDOT to agree to is allow us to plant grass there, which means we have to bring in some soil. We don't have a fund for that. We don't have anything set aside for that.
I
We
tell you
can
what,
change that.
I think we can too.
I think
I
we
think we
need
could
to.
do an ordinance.
We can
an
amend
amendment.
this
Yeah.
ordinance to include soil.
I think we need to.
I don't know why anyone would object to that.
we will have to put in the budget, though, some type of early maintenance while it's being established.
Can the clean team water these
I don't know.
once they're established?
I don't know.
Don't
I
ask
mean, who
Public
else
Works.
would it be?
I don't know. I don't know who's really responsible for watering some of the. It's Public Works, but I don't know what part of it is Public Works for watering some of the trees and some of the medians and when they need water.
But I would like to, I'm right down the street from that,
Mhm.
and it's a real eyesore.
Yeah.
With more and more people coming in, I think that's one of the projects we should look at as soon as possible. You know,
Mhm.
Nothing's gonna be easy, because as soon as you wanna do something, there's more no's than there are yeses.
Mhm.
It's just the nature of planning something,
Mhm.
you know?
I just hate the way this looks on New Shackle. And if we add medians on West Main, we need to have some flexibility there to make it look nice.
I need to say, because I get complaints pretty regularly from people who find it difficult to pull out from Bluegrass Country Club or the Dollar General, the neighborhood behind Dollar General, that we did a traffic, whatever it's called, and a traffic light, it was kind of ambiguous if a traffic light would be the right decision for that area. But we talked about that there were other things we could do. And I know we need to focus on your end of town, but I keep thinking, like, I don't know if a median is appropriate to help with the safety there.
I don't know either. I know.
But I know we need to focus on
No,
your
but I
end
don't
of
know
town
either. I
for
don't-
beautification, but
Yeah, Rachel was.
I just want to bring that up.
Sarah was
Okay.
looking at that.
Mhm.
Okay, I'll ask Timothy about soil and grass and what it takes to get TDOT approval for that.
I would like to put in a priority on this New Shackle Island, though, 'cause, you know, you can see the counties, sitting in Costco's parking lot, so they're coming right through there.
I think all these pictures of New Shackle. New Shackle.
Yeah.
Anything else on that one?
No, thank you for your help on that one.
Number 4 is replacing decorative street signs.
Yeah, this is. Here's the front one.
Would they be city signs or neighborhood signs?
So it's a combination of two.
Okay.
There you go. So developers pretty much at this point in time, every subdivision they're building, they put some decorative signs.
Mhm.
They don't put the U-channel poles is what they're called. They don't put the standard, just ugly everyday poles. They don't do that. They put something decorative. The best example of what's happening is if you look in the lower left, Myrtlewood Lane, you see the letters are sort of peeling. That actually used to be more of a bronze color, and now it's just turned to a gray. So at some point, what's going to happen is the city's going to look up the Water's Edge sign up in the upper right. So that's still looking in pretty good shape. At some point, what's going to happen is it's going to fade to the point that
You can't
really
read
isn't.
it.
Yeah, you can't read it. So what the city's current policy is to do what we did in the other three pictures you see, to replace it with our standard green sign with the white border. We've had some complaints from some folks in subdivisions that we should replace them with what was there.
I deal with one of those subdivisions.
Okay.
So Mansgrove's Farms has two types of signs. They got the decorative signs, and then on non-key streets, they have the standard signs. And so they requested new signs because they were fading bad. And I guess the city or the state pays for those signs.
City pays for it. If they're city roads, city pays for it.
Okay, but now there's a new standard for a sign. So if you live on Walton Ferry Trace Drive, the sign's now this long,
Okay.
which doesn't fit on any of these signs.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
And there's the issue. They fit on top of stop signs perfectly, but anything that's hanging, it sits out this far from the bracket.
Yeah. The ADA requirements are now that the type has to be bigger and it has to have the white border around there.
Oh.
Correct. It's also reflective, so at night
Yeah.
they're much easier to see.
Which I appreciate.
And they're good looking signs. I mean, with the texture and all to them, but they don't retrofit.
Yeah. You can't see that at night at all.
No, but in Mansgrove's situation, it doesn't work at all. So if they're going to replace their signs,
Replace the pole.
or they have to buy their own signs, and and they have a big HOA. That shouldn't be that big of a problem. But there is inconsistency.
Do we offer them some sort of partnership?
If an HOA wants decorative signs, they need to pay for them.
Okay.
I think everybody should get the same sign, in my opinion.
Should we contribute to that
No.
since they're?
I don't think so either.
Okay.
I don't.
First off, and the one thing I like to pride myself on is looking at the whole story and finding out about as much truth as possible.
Mhm.
I believe, and Andy did a pretty good job of this because he was working on it at the time. He lives in Mansgrove's, and then Jeff Sassy was working on it too. I believe if you add up all their signs, only 10% are these poles, are these decorative poles.
Okay.
But they're the ones you see when you drive through Mansgrove's Farms. They're not on the side streets, right? But I don't know. I understand their dilemma.
And they're saving us money by replacing their own signs.
Right. But they don't fit on these poles at all.
I don't feel like the committee's asking me to bring forth any changes.
I just think if you live in an HOA and you want a fancy sign, you pay for your fancy sign. I mean,
Which is their option, which is,
and
their
you and
option.
I live in HOAs and you do
I
not.
do not.
And
We have some of the new signs.
so I'm
that-
I'm not saying, I mean, that would, my HOA would pay for it. I don't know how they feel about that, but I think that's.
Well, Mansgrove's estimate, again, I didn't see the estimate. They were in excess of about $50,000 to replace the poles, not the signs. Then they could use,
Per pole,
no, for the entire neighborhood.
There are some
50,000.
there are some new expectations on poles. There's a lot of developers have a stop sign that's too low. It has to be so high.
Mm-hmm.
And we replaced some of those in Windcrest.
I do like the consistency of everybody eventually getting the new signs because they're good looking signs. They're easy to read. But we're talking about, 50 years of
Yeah.
building around here, a little bit more than that actually. But so that's, that's a tough one. I feel right now I'm only dealing with Mansgrove with this problem, but I think the signs look great. And if they have decorative signs, I think that's up to them.
I do.
Now, if they take down the decorative sign pole,
Mhm.
are we responsible for a pole?
Probably.
Mm-hmm.
Probably, right?
Probably. Well, I don't think we let them take the pole down because I think we own the poles at that point. Once the
The
developer,
streets are dedicated.
yeah,
It's
once
our
we,
pole.
I think so.
So we're responsible for the pole, but we're not responsible for the sign.
We are.
But we're responsible but we can put up a green one.
Yeah.
Right.
And if it means we have to replace their pole, because I see what you're saying, like it won't fit and it's gonna be hanging out into the street.
It
That doesn't
does.
make sense.
It looks terrible.
The UPS guy's gonna hit it. But, so we have to replace the pole at that point, move the pole or what have you, but
I just got a note here for our IT department that there's no sound online. There's no sound on.
oh no.
Really?
Oh.
Did somebody kick out the mic?
One of the acts entirely possible.
I have no idea.